Jackson, would you like to read your first question?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. My first question is, will the Honorable Minister please provide this Honorable House the total projected dollar amount with a list of estimated expenses to fund a vertical farm facility in Bermuda?
Thank you. Minister?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. The member is well aware of confidentiality as she works for a bank. We ourselves are under confidentiality with potential developers. What I can say is that no funds have been paid or committed to date. Everyone is doing their own due diligence, and when the time comes, I will be more than happy to disclose full detail.
Thank you. Supplementary, members?
Yes, I have a supplementary. Is the government in its negotiations also considering any other private requests for proposals? Are you setting up an RFP for other private individuals to get involved in investments of government vertical farming?
Minister?
When you say government vertical farming?
Yes, well, the government is pursuing, as you said, confidentially pursuing certain arrangements with companies, and I'm just wondering whether the government is also considering going out to tender and looking at any private organizations or groups of people that may also want to get involved with vertical farming.
Yeah.
Is there going?
The answer is yes.
So the supplemental.
That's what actually put your second supplementary now.
Will there be a Mr. Minister? Will there be a formal RFP open to tender for private individuals to submit proposals for vertical farming in Bermuda?
RFI at first, yes. RFI, request for information.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I have a supplementary.
Supplementary? You have a supplementary? Put your supplementary. Your first supplementary.
I thank my honorable colleague for the question. Mr. Speaker, in the original answer, the minister said that there was no funds paid to date and there was no commitment. So this is obviously in early stages. Has the government committed any funding to this project?
I just said, honorable member, that we have made paid. There's no fund has been paid or committed to date.
Thank you. Do you have a second supplementary? You're done.
The second supplementary to the honorable minister.
Put your
second supplementary, minister. Yes, but just following on from my question. So, does the government have any intention of being an investor in this program?
Who are you asking will be the investor? I'm sorry to hear, member.
The honorable minister, does the government of Bermuda, have any intention of being an investor in this program?
To be honest with you, honorable member, the purpose is to encourage as many Bermudans as possible to be involved in investing in this program.
I thank the honorable minister for his honesty.
Thank you. Does any other member have a supplementary to the member's first question?
I do, Mr. Speaker.
MP Richardson, put your question, your supplementary.
Thank you. Would the honorable minister please provide the total amount government is willing to commit to this project?
As I said, we are on the confidentiality, and as time goes on, we will inform the honorable member where we stand.
You have a second supplementary, MP?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you, honorable minister. So that would you confirm then that the total amount that you are willing to commit to this project is dependent on the counterparties involved?
Absolutely right.
Thank you. Does any other member have a supplementary to put to the member's first written question? No other member? MP Jackson, would you like to put read your second written question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Honorable Minister please provide this Honorable House a list of job titles with qualifications that are needed to run the proposed vertical farm?
My first statement, Mr. Speaker, stands as the rules, confidentiality with developers. Until then, I'll be happy to sit down with the honorable members as time goes on and reveal as much information as possible.
Okay. Member, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Mr. Speaker. Minister, what, if anything, is being done to review, restructure the agricultural industry as we have in Bermuda now? There are some 300 acres of unused government arable land, and there are many people without homes, and there is an initiative toward environmental protection. So what is the government doing to put enthusiasm?
Member, let me remind you that your supplementary should speak to the topic of your original question, and the original question was directed solely at the virtual farming, nothing else.
Okay.
So your supplementary should center around that.
Then may I ask, Minister, what is being done in advance of any confidential negotiations to prepare and encourage more Bermudians to get involved in agriculture, in particular vertical farming?
Honorable member, as far as agriculture doesn't come under myself, as I just mentioned, we'd be good off our RFI for more information for individuals who want to get involved in vertical farming.
Thank you.
Baker?
Supplementary? Yes, we'll take your first supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Honorable Minister, has the Board of Agriculture and the local farmers been involved in this discussion from the beginning?
As I said to honorable members, we are just having a discussion right now with the potential developers, and eventually when we get more information, we'll go out to the individuals and talk to them further.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Isn't that putting the cart in front of the horse, using farmers' verbiage? That wouldn't you have discussion with the Board of Agriculture and the local farming industry to get them on board first?
It depends on how you look at it, honorable members. If you gather the information to see exactly what can be done, the potential for this the cabinet under the Ministry of Economic Development is to look what potentials out there. Once the potentials out there, we can talk further with the individuals. Matter of fact, I hope they will get involved with the vertical farming if it actually takes place, as far as investors.
Thank you. Does any other member wish to put a supplementary to the second question that was asked by the member?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Richardson, MP Richardson.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Would the Honorable Minister please provide us, are there, in like projects in other jurisdictions, whichever ones we are using as examples or guidelines to assist us in this process, what are the qualifications that are used in those jurisdictions for vertical farming?
I'm not quite clear what the honorable member is asking. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I hate to continue to draw attention to standing orders, but as you have already indicated, supplementary questions on parliamentary questions have to be related to the actual question which was asked. And the question that is being supplementary are the names and the job titles for employees. We're going all over the place, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, Premier, I was just about to bring that question back as I did with the former question that was asked out of order. You must keep your supplementaries in line with the verbiage that was asked in the original question, the written question. But if you can tie your question to what has been put as the written question, you can ask a supplementary. If it doesn't fall within that parameter, it's not allowed at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question was related to qualifications, which is in number 2. I'm happy to skip that over. And I understand and thank you, Mr. Premier and Mr. Speaker. As it relates to the qualifications, I can ask that question. Are there any locals already qualified? Can I ask that question? I'm asking about the qualifications in number 2, from question number 2.
Minister?
If you're asking me whether individuals are qualified for certain jobs, I would have thought so, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Yeah. Does any other member have questions for supplementary in regard to the original written question?
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
MP Cananis, you can put your supplementary.
Yes, in light of the question, list of job titles, qualifications, and the likes, we know that in another place it was mentioned it would be a project of approximately 30, I believe, or $38 million. Does the Honorable Minister have a framework in place that allowed him to come to that figure, considering we're looking at job titles here, qualifications?
Well, that's a little stretch to bring that figure into qualifications or job titles. I thought you said you were going to speak to qualifications, but
well, I'm asking the question because it's already been stated in another place that it's going to be approximately 30 to $38 million. If you have that, then you should already also have in place, when you come to that kind of summary, a list of titles, approximate amounts that you're going to spend.
So basically, member, we're addressing the question. And what may have been said at a different time at a different place doesn't relate to the particular question that's before. I'm not disputing that was said before. I'm just drawing our attention to the fact that the supplementary should support the question that was written. And the question that was written didn't have a dollar, didn't address a dollar. It addressed simply the titles and the qualification.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I could just qualify, the only way that you can come to a conclusion of that amount is if you already have in place titles and qualifications and the likes to come to that conclusion of 30 to 38 million. That's how you put a business proposal together. So he must have some framework.
I'm still trying to tie it in because basically I'm going to draw a scenario. We're looking for a proposal and I say, whatever the proposal is, here's my maximum that I'm prepared to spend. $1 or $100. So that's basically the context that I'm putting this, whatever amount was put out previous, the interpretation is that amount was put out that this is what we're prepared to put aside depending on what comes back to us. So
but that has to be qualified.
It doesn't necessarily mean that that amount was fully qualified, quantified. It's just
that's not
based on all the proposals and for request or due diligence, as the minister said earlier, and looking for due diligence right now. So I'm trying to tie your number into that. I just can't tie your number into that question. You can ask a question.
There's no way that you can come up with a business proposal or even put out in the public that you're willing to spend the public's money of 30 to 38 million dollars without a framework in place. And that framework would include employees and the likes. It's just not making any sense. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to spend $50 million on something, and I have no framework that I'm working with to justify that amount. The public's not going to accept that. The Honorable Minister must have something in place. Already.
Mr. Speaker,
Point of order. Your point may be a good point, but it doesn't fit into this question. That's all I'm saying to you. So if it can't fit into this question, I can't allow it. But if you could reframe what you're after, maybe. But in the format that you're putting it, it doesn't fit into the question. The earlier question actually spoke to funding. This one does. You might have been able to tie it into the first question, because the first question speaks to funds. This question doesn't speak to funds. Read the first question that the member put. You could have possibly worded it to fit that question, but this question does not speak to the funding. So I'm not going to allow us to continue down this road. If you have a second, if you want to rephrase your question in another manner, fine. If not, we'll move on to someone else who has a supplementary that they'd like to put. There's no other? There's no other? We'll now move on to the questions that were regarding the statements